everyone, Ashley here and welcome back to Dress to Jet. Yes, welcome back. It's been a long time. It's been almost exactly a year since I posted on here and I'm back to tell you where the hell I've been. I'm gonna try not to get emotional during this video because my life completely changed like a week after I posted my last video. So let me just talk about some content first. So content is coming back. I've been filming. This will be the first video that goes back up, but I have stuff already uploaded and filmed and stuff, so I'm getting much more back into creating stuff for the channel. A few videos, when I stopped uploading, I had a few videos already filmed. They weren't edited. They will be going up. So there's a few that are like, what? Like, you're going to Ireland? No. I went to Ireland a year ago, and pre-COVID. So if there's a video that doesn't really make sense, I tried to make notes and put like some like a little video in the beginning explaining, and I put it in the description that this was filmed pre-COVID. And obviously my hair will change length pretty severely, so you know, I'm not running around internationally during COVID. So there are some videos that I had already previously recorded that will be used on the channel, but they're from a year ago. So why have I been gone a year? So right after I filmed that last video, I went to Ireland for Thanksgiving week, where my husband's from, and for vacation. And I was going to be filming there. I filmed what I was packing. I filmed like different things. And we were there on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. We were in a mall, and you know, I like shopping at Oasis. I like shopping at these like Irish UK stores for, you know, looking for vintage stuff and everything, but also, you know, you come home and nobody has them, so it's nice. Anyway, we're in one of these stores and my sister calls me, and I knew something was wrong because it's not weird for my sister to call me, but if I'm in another country, she usually texts me, you know, she doesn't want to like figure out the time difference and blah 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 blah, and she doesn't know, I guess, you know, whether like the cost will cost me anything, whatever. She would just text me, you know, that'd be normal if I'm out of the country. So when she called, I knew something was wrong. And when I picked up, when she said, like, when she said my name, her voice was cracking, so I knew someone was either dead or in the hospital. I knew that right away. I just didn't know who it was. And she said it's Dad, and her voice was cracking. So I'm getting emotional, right? Oh, this is gonna be good. So long story short, so this is the first time I had heard about this situation. Apparently for a few weeks things had been happening and I hadn't been told because they didn't know anything and they didn't want to, you know, I'm far away. I'm either far away in Ireland or far away in California. I don't live in Ohio with my family. So they just were going to try to wait until they knew what was happening. My dad was having severe headaches for a couple weeks. He did tell me kind of stuff that he wasn't feeling good, and I said go to the doctor. My dad is one of those people that never went to the doctor, and I always fight with him about it. But he was having severe headaches for a couple weeks, severe fatigue. My dad was a workaholic. He worked all hour. Like, he just worked a lot. He always had. And he was coming home from work, which this is all stuff I found out after the fact. Because he just couldn't stay awake and he couldn't focus. His headaches were so bad, which is not like my dad. You know, my dad's a workaholic. He was just taking like painkillers. It's just like a lot, my stepmom said. And he had made an appointment at his general practitioner finally. And my sister went over there the Sunday before his appointment, and he didn't want to hold my little baby niece. And they thought that was weird, and it looked like he was having trouble like buttoning something, and people were getting really concerned at this point that something was really wrong. And he's like, no, well, I have an appointment. Everyone's like, you need to go to the emergency room right now. And of course I had no idea this was going on. So Tuesday comes, he goes to his appointment. I'm already in Ireland. And his general practitioner says, we're calling an ambulance, and you're going to the doctor right now. You're going to the ER. I'm sorry, not the doctor. So he goes to the local hospital, and they of course do an MRI, and they see a mass on his brain. So that's where I got caught up. As soon as they found out that he had a mass on his brain, my sister called me, she went right to the hospital and she called me. So my initial reactions were shock, anger, because at this point I didn't know what it was. And I know my dad, and I know this is what he did. He didn't go to the doctor for weeks. And so initially I was very mad at him because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was something that could have been caught and prevented. I didn't know. But I knew he didn't go to the doctor. And people were frustrated with him. So I was frustrated with him as well. And I was upset, obviously. So yeah. So that was basically overshadowed my whole trip to Ireland. My dad was admitted to the hospital immediately. And the first they said they were going to do a biopsy. I don't know if everyone's interested in all these details. This is what I've been going through for the last year. But they were going to do a biopsy initially, and then they said, nope, we're going full brain surgery, we're taking it out. So Black Friday, he had his surgery. I was also flying back to California on that day. So, and it lined up. When I got on the plane, my dad went in for surgery. And I'm like, I'm going to be on a 10-hour flight, not knowing anything. Thankfully, the Wi-Fi was working on the flight. So I was able to text my sister. Everybody was in the waiting room. I flew a direct flight from Dublin to San Francisco for 10 hours. And when I got off the plane, my dad still was not out of surgery. That's how long. It was 2 more hours before. It was 12 hours before my dad got out of surgery. And I was just pulling up at my house my sister called and said, it's cancer. Of course, they still had to do the biopsy, but the brain surgeon said, I've seen this tumor a lot, and it's cancer. So, yeah, that was shocking. Worst news we could have got. Everybody was in shock, and it was really bad. It was the worst news. My dad was 59 at the time. So I'm back home now in California at that point, and I'm scrambling. I'm packing again to leave to go to Ohio. This was right on the verge of turning into December. We were already planning to go there for Christmas because my niece's first Christmas. I hadn't been home for Christmas in 8 years, maybe more than that. So because it was my niece's first Christmas, we were gonna go back for that. And so I packed my stuff while I was getting my not knowing how long I was gonna be there, whatever. While I was doing all that, they discovered that he had a stroke during the surgery, and they didn't know how bad it was. He wasn't waking up. And eventually I got my shit together and I got there. I stayed until after Christmas. But through that time, my dad had a lot of complications in the ICU. He wasn't waking up. His lungs, he was having problems with his lungs. He was having problems with all kinds of stuff, with swelling. I mean, it was just, he was not adjusting well to things. Emotionally, like he was very confused. He thought we were just, like, killing him of thirst because he couldn't drink water because of the salt for his swelling and everything. But he was getting fluids through an IV, but he didn't understand. He was very confused and angry. It was very tough. My stepmom was sleeping at the ICU every night, every day, like showering in the room, like in the bathroom of the ICU. I mean, like sleeping on the chair and everything, and it was very hard. I tried to be up there so she could take breaks and stuff and go home and shower in a real shower and all that. He slowly came out of the ICU, like finally he was healthy enough to come out of the ICU. He went into like the regular hospital room for about a week, and then he had to go to rehab because he has eventually he lost all use of his left side of his body and his eyesight. A lot of his eyesight on his left side, which we did not know until much later, until he got to rehab, because they tested everything, and he couldn't see. Couldn't see a lot on his left side. And he spent Christmas, well, he was in rehab at that time, but he had a blood clot, so he had to go back to the emergency room. So he spent Christmas Day in the emergency room, which I went there and sat with him for a while and watched Family Feud, which he loved. I said he loved it, so he probably manages now how the story ends. Okay, sorry, I needed a second. He comes home from rehab. We're very happy. He wanted to be home. You know, he was in the hospital for over a month in different places, different like levels of intensity and everything. He just wanted to be home. So he came home, and then once he was recovered enough, he had to do radiation and chemotherapy. So that was driving him 45 minutes every day to get the radiation. He was taking the chemo pill. I mean, it was just a lot. He was doing physical therapy. He could walk with a walker, kind of. He had some mobility and some independence at that point. I flew in he did six weeks of radiation and chemotherapy. I came in for the last 2 because I figured that would be the toughest. And I wanted to be there for when he finished. So yeah, he got super sick when I got there. He was doing so good and we were like, he doesn't even feel it. And then very sick. My dad, very stoic, and I mean, he's a very funny person, but he was very stoic and wasn't very, very outward with vulnerability and stuff. So seeing my dad very sick was very hard for me. To see him vulnerable in LA was like all world altering for me. It was just strange, but it was. See him weak and vulnerable. But I was glad I was there. I was help my stepmom, help my dad, and spend time with him, of course. So this just goes on and on. After he was done with his chemotherapy, they did another scan, and that tumor was gone, but all around it had sprouted. I haven't even told you what he has. Sorry. My dad was diagnosed with grade 4 glioblastoma, which is a death sentence, terminal brain cancer. And he was told after his surgery, but before chemotherapy, that he had 6 months to a year, and that was with treatment. Sorry, I should have mentioned that much earlier. Just kind of scattered about it, reliving it all. And I, of course, started doing research immediately. I was reading all the books about it, and this is what John McCain died of. Joe Biden's son Beau died of it. Like, it's a very common brain cancer, and it's just such a low survival rate. I mean, you don't really survive from it. Some people survive longer. I know. So it was very rough. Anyway, so he comes home, he did the treatment after chemotherapy and everything. Like, it bought us time, but it was never going to save his life. We knew that from the very beginning. No matter what we did, it wasn't going to save his life. We thought, okay, try this. He wanted to try the chemotherapy and radiation, so he, of course, went along with what he wanted to do. It was his choice, but we also were very mindful from the beginning of quality of life for him. So after that was over, they said, well, you can do chemo again. But you're fighting a losing battle, and maybe you'll feel better, if you don't do chemo in the meantime. And we all were in agreement after we saw what he went through with his treatment. So he stopped doing treatment. Eventually, his symptoms from chemo lingered for a very long time, which was disappointing. Because I wanted him to just have some peace and relax, to feel okay. He was losing mobility at this point. Okay, so his birthday is July 4th, so I flew to Ohio. To spend another 2 weeks. I was back and forth a lot. We had a small little thing for his birthday. His 60th birthday was on July 4th, so we knew it was going to be his last one. It was the 60th, so we really wanted to mark the occasion, and that was my kind of personal milestone. I said I want him to be aware and pain-free for his 60th birthday. That was what I wanted to get him to get to, and I wanted to be there. So I was, and it was very nice. He had a great day. After we put him to bed, because he had to be put to bed at that point. He was in a wheelchair. We put him to bed on July 4th. He didn't get out of bed again. He never went outside again. I don't know, for him, subconsciously, maybe it was a milestone for him too. He just was like, okay, I made it to 60. And I don't have any more now. Okay, so fast forward. So that was in July, obviously. I stayed 2 weeks, spent time with him. he spent time with my sister and my niece and everything. And I went home, and I went there during COVID because of his birthday, and I knew I was losing time. To me, that was an essential travel. And I had been there. I came home like on March 3rd, the trip before. So COVID blew up right between those two trips. So I said, you know, I'm trying to wait out COVID. When I got back from the July trip, and I was thinking maybe September, I don't know. He took a quick, well, he was to great. He was completely bedbound by like end of July. Needed a lot. He couldn't do anything for himself really. He could feed himself with one arm. That was basically all he had strength for. Sleeping a lot more, which was part of the process. I'd done a lot of research and I knew this was part of the dying process. So yeah, he took, earlier in the week of August 15th, on the Friday, he took a turn. He had to be rushed to the emergency room. And they thought he had like a severe UTI because he was passing blood and stuff. So I sent him home, but he wasn't doing well. And he was in hospice at this point. And they were coming every couple times a week to check on him and everything, which was relieving to me because I had a nurse telling me a couple times a week like where he was, a guesstimate of where he was in the process of everything. So that gave me some peace being in California, like gauging the situation, you know? So, I was like, the hospice nurse, he said, probably had a week or 2 weeks or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going. I don't know how long I'm gonna be there. So this was on a Friday. I booked my ticket for the Sunday because this was like that. So I wanted Saturday to like get prescriptions filled and like I pack and stuff. I had to get stuff together. So I spent that Sunday, excuse me, that Sunday packing that Saturday packing. And since I was leaving the next day, Matt and I went out to get pancakes from the Butcher's Son because I love pancakes and I love Butcher's Son in Berkeley. And because I was leaving and because of COVID and other things, I'd just be like eating like just stuff from, groceries. I wouldn't be going out to eat when I was there. So I just had like something I wanted, and I was upset about my dad, so I wanted pancakes. And my sister had called me and said, hey, they were all at the house with him, and he was sleeping a lot more, like it was progressing. But he hung on for a long time, and they said, it could be 5 days, a week. So she's like, I'm gonna go to the grocery store for you and get some groceries so when you come in, you don't have to worry about it. I'm like, oh, thanks. She was there at my dad's. I sent her the list. Her and her husband went to get them. And then about 20 minutes later, she FaceTimes me or calls me and says, it's happening. I'm like, what's happening? She had went to get me groceries. My dad was stable, but declining. She comes back and he's aspirating, which he's like he's starting to stop breathing. I don't know if he was conscious, but I don't know if he was aware. They put me on FaceTime. My stepmom said, put Ashley on FaceTime. We're driving home from the restaurant, which we ate takeout in the car, and I can't believe this is happening, like now, like then, like quick, like 3 days, like this is Saturday, Thursday he was okay, Friday he started to decline, now it's Saturday. Tomorrow, the next day morning, I'm flying to Ohio. I'm in shock. So my brother-in-law is holding the camera so he can see me and I could see him. My sister's there, my stepmom, and my cousin. And he's breathing in a very traumatic way, if you were in the room or listening. And he was kind of opening his eyes and closing them, but I don't know if he was seeing. But I told him I was there. Sorry. I told him I was there, and he passed away. This was on August 15th. Obviously, it was incredibly hard. I don't have to, you know, I'm sure you can understand that. I really wanted not to try to get emotional during this and not make it so long, but I've accomplished both on accident. Okay, so he passed away. I was glad I was there on FaceTime, because if I had have left on Sunday, I probably would have still been in the air or at the airport, and my sister probably would have been picking me up, and neither of us would have been there. That would have been horrible. So I was there on FaceTime. She was holding his hand. So he passed away. I went the next morning. He was cremated, so it took a while to do all the... I was glad I got there to go to the funeral home and pick out things and plan and everything. So yeah, my husband flew out a few days later. We had a visitation on Friday, and then a week after he died was his, like, a short ceremony at the graveyard. We buried his ashes with his brother, and then we all got ashes too. So I went home the next morning on the Sunday and brought his ashes home. My dad hated flying, but I got him on a plane again, just in a different way. And a week after that, I went to the Golden Gate Bridge, not actually on the bridge, like on a beach, not on the beach, in the greater area of the Golden Gate Bridge, and spread his ashes in a quiet area. And that was very lethargic for me. That was the hardest day since the day he died, was doing that. Me and my husband up there, I made a playlist and I just spent some time there. So now I have a place here. I have a place in Ohio to go. I have a place in California to go. And the Golden Gate Bridge is meaningful to that side of my family, because my grandpa was there. He was in the Navy. He was there with his ship for the opening ceremonies at the Golden Gate Bridge. My dad's dad. And then when my dad and his siblings talked often about going to San Francisco on a trip, like a road trip they took from Ohio, like when they were kids, and they talked about that a lot, especially when he was like sick. They were reminiscing about it. So I just thought it was appropriate. I live here, so I thought it was a really appropriate place to spread some of his ashes. So that was really nice, but it was incredibly hard, harder than his funeral for me personally. Yeah. So my dad lived with it for 9 months, and then I needed a few months to get myself together, obviously. Start thinking about this and other things, because for 9 months it was about, how's he doing today? You know, do I need to come? Like, you know, and again, I was flying back and forth for sometimes a month, sometimes 2 weeks, whatever, back and forth. Like, so that was my life. And when I was there, I was a caregiver. When I was here, I was talking to his caregivers, FaceTiming with him for hours. So this was not, YouTube channel was not a priority, or something I could even think about, honestly. Okay, sorry this was so long. I didn't mean to get emotional. It hasn't even been 3 months, so I'm filming this on November 7th. Good news today, but good news day today, but it hasn't even been 3 months since he passed away, so it's still very raw for me. But yeah, and COVID, obviously, when COVID happened, I'm not traveling, I'm not going to thrift stores, I'm not doing the clothing swaps with my friends, I'm not going to garage sales, like I'm not doing any of that stuff. So like there really wasn't a lot for me to film, and still trying to like think of things while being safe is something that I'm working on. So those are the two main reasons why there hasn't been content for a year. And I never forgot about the channel, I just wasn't able to deal with it. And then also I had to do a lot of thinking about what was I going to put on here if I wasn't traveling and I wasn't doing the things I've normally been doing. So I've had to get creative in a different way for that. So that's where I've been, and I know, I don't know, that's where I've been away, essentially, COVID and my dad's illness. So now that I've had some time to process everything, I'm excited to get back to YouTube, and I hope you guys are all doing well. I know 2020 has been the worst year of my life, and it's been the worst year of a lot of people's lives. I'm not saying good things haven't happened, but you know, it's tough. It's really tough this year for a lot of people. So I hope you're all doing good, or hanging in there at least, because I know I'm hanging in there, and we're all gonna be okay. But it is exhausting to have everything happen for so long, unrelenting, you know. So not every problem is going to disappear in 2021. That's not how it works, but I hope that in 2021 we have a chance to breathe, you know. So anyway, this has gone on long enough, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.